there's going to be another pandemic that's 10 times worse. I think that was a precursor to what's coming next. Because here's the thing. Back in 2019, they had something called Event 201, funded by none other than Bill Gates. Surprise, surprise. So just 3-6 months before COVID happens, we have a simulation of a respiratory virus that they simulated, and then it happens the next year. Interesting. And he's a big advocate for it.
Yeah, I know.
So, and that, not only that, but he's in our food system. He's the biggest land farm owner in America. Why do you think that is? He's a computer guy. What do you know about farming and all this other shit?
He knows numbers and digits and, percentages.
Yeah, he literally said he wants...
What is he trying to do?
Well, he literally said he wants to depopulate. He said this on camera. Hey, in order to have sustainable, future, we gotta depopulate and get rid of some people. Like, bro, what? Depopulate? So it makes sense. You're in our food system and water and this and that. I see your plan. He's just walking around. This is crazy. So again, I think they're setting up for another pandemic. That's what I think. That was a precursor. And I've been told by, again, sidekicks and remote viewers, they're saying, hey, what I see in the near future, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Dr. Fauci is at it again. Do you remember when Dr. Fauci said this before COVID?
There is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that. But also there will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak.
But if you tell us that it's not a surprise. And so here he is, he's doing it again. This is from most recent, he's on, I think it's PBS Frontline. Of course, they didn't ask him any real questions. Of course, they didn't present him with his contradictions. They didn't show video of him lying. I have hours of video of him lying and contradicting himself left and right. He lied about the virus, where it came from. He lied about funding the virus. He lied about masks. He lied about herd immunity. He lied about natural immunity. He lied about the vaccine stopping transmission. He lied about the vaccine stopping contraction. He lied about lockdowns. He lied about recommending lockdowns, said he never did. I got video of him saying he did. He lied about ivermectin. He lied about hydroxychloroquine. There wasn't a thing related to COVID that Dr. Fauci didn't lie about. Do you think these people at PBS asked him about it? No, because they get their money from Bill Gates. Here he is.
The thought that we won't have another pandemic, I think, is naive at best and just not completely unrealistic at worst. So to rephrase your question, I'm convinced that there will be another pandemic, and that's the reason why we have to be perpetually prepared to prevent the terrible impact of a pandemic.
And it won't be the last pandemic. The next one could be far more severe. Hopefully we'll get our act together before the next one comes.
But you said the next pandemic you are predicting within maybe 25 years? Is that
certainly
accurate?
We'll have one in the next 25 years. Even some pathogens out there that we're watching over right now, so maybe 10% chance in the next 4 years.
Everyone is sick right now. These are the top 5 viruses I'm seeing in the pediatric emergency department this week. Coming in at number 1 is RSV. This generally causes cough, congestion, fever, difficulty breathing, and wheezing. Tends to be worse between day 3 and day 5 and worse for the tiny infants. Number 2 is influenza A. This causes cough, congestion, fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, backache, body aches. It's terrible. The vast majority of the flu cases are not vaccinated. We're talking more than 90 to 95%. Coming in at number 3, we have rhino/enterovirus. This is another respiratory illness. A lot of these kids are having shortness of breath. There have been a lot of PICU admissions from rhino-entero. Number 4 is parainfluenza virus. This is the most common cause of croup. In older kids, it causes laryngitis, a really bad sore throat, and some upper respiratory symptoms. Coming in at number 5 is adenovirus. Adenovirus causes a flu-like illness. It can have red eyes, sore throat, rashes, a lot of vomiting, and diarrhea. There's a lot going around right now. I hope you stay safe out there.
America, we have a massive, massive problem. Michigan officials have just confirmed our first 2 pediatric influenza passings. But there's more to the story, America. Quick little story time. My entire intermediate family is sick right now. It all started with my 7-year-old. I took him to the doctor. He was showing signs of the flu. They instantly went to, he probably has influenza A. Do we need to test him? We really don't have to. So I took their word for it and I took him home. Well, guess what? It progressively got worse and worse until I took him to the ER and found out that he had pneumonia. Then my wife got sick. So she went to the doctor. Except this time, instead of them saying, oh, you don't need to be tested, it's the flu, she said, I want to be tested. She didn't have the flu, people. The test came back negative for COVID and flu, but she had walking pneumonia. People, I think this is more than influenza and the flu. I'm just telling you right now from a father with children, if you have kids or you have spouses who are ill, do not bypass the flu test. Make sure to get it done, because if it comes back negative, most likely you have pneumonia. I have never seen illnesses like this in my life.
Shalom. I would like to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakar Kodash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to our sister Akim, pushing this word across the four corners of the world. So if you're in the spirit and you are measuring the times diligently within itself, like seeing what's going on within current news or current events, and you filtering out with the Holy Scriptures, then you can see that we are approaching some very devastating times, where there's a lot of general reports of the C-19 surge and also a surge of influenza and RSV, like respiratory viruses. And these different cases has been so problematic that a lot of schools across the United States have been closing. So therefore, these are definitely the signs of our times of pestilences within diverse places being so active. And as you saw from the opening of this video, the guy was going in about Dr. Fauci, aka Dr. Duff, and that surname Fauci traces back to the Italian, which means sickle maker. And what's a sickle? It's an agricultural tool that has a curved metal blade with a short handle, and it's used to cut, like a cutting mechanism as a reaper. So you saw Dr. Fauci, aka Dr. Duff, applying that revelation of the method alongside with his demonic counterpart, Bill Gates of hell, and they're speaking about a so-called surprise disease outbreak, like an inevitable pandemic. So again, going back to Fauci's name, sickle maker, like with him and along with his wicked counterparts who represents the secret council of the wicked, what do they want to cut or reduce? Human population, aka depopulation. And this further proves that we are within an unjust, diabolical, satanic kingdom, where you have these two cold-hearted psychopaths that are responsible for millions of people's bloods upon their hands, while prophesying on the left-hand side about another upcoming pandemic. And they're still out here walking freely, and the masses are not doing anything. And that takes me right to Micah 2:1. And as you can see from the heading, woe to oppressors. And our main oppressor, persecutor, tormentor, dictator, or tyrant is definitely Esau Edom, beginning with the hierarchy of them, the accuser of our brethren. And the oppressor is nothing but a person of authority who subjugates others to undue and unpleasant pressures by the way of that whip. Hence Esau's blessing on the left-handed side, which is that sword. So it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And that's bestowed unto them by Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, because the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. And while this unjust, unwise king is in rulership, look at the state and the condition of the earth, humanity at that, and how they are within their secret councils and conjuring up diabolical plans or agendas via by working with their left-handed priesthood, and they are planning to cause great sufferings, devastations, and catastrophic events upon humanity. And to prove that, that word practice right here goes into the Hebrew word asha, and it goes into like produce, to perform, to prepare, to execute, or to accomplish. In totality, what do the hierarchy of Esau Edom want to accomplish? Their enterprise, when you read the book of Job, the 5th chapter and the 12th verse, which is utterly going into this left-handed NWO, a satanic agenda that's not within the best interests of humanity. Hence, all of these disease outbreaks, which is nothing but biological warfare upon the masses. And they even have a so-called science-based, data-driven service organization within Atlanta called CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Not Centers for Disease Cure or Healing, but no, control. And what are they controlling? These harmful pathogens, viruses, and contagious diseases that they are deliberately unleashing out here to the public. So again, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. So again, Esau Edom is definitely the main accuser of our brethren that's been the biblical Israelites. And more so, he's oppressing or tormenting these other nations and his own kind. So we are definitely within some very prophetic times. And that takes me to one of the main biblical prophecies that Yahushua prophesied before his second arrival upon the earth. And that takes me to Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And once you go to the etymon online for the word pestilence, it goes into any infectious or contagious disease, fatal epidemic, from Old French pestilence, plague, epidemic, and directly from Latin pestilentia, a plague, an unwholesome atmosphere, infected, unwholesome, nauseous. From pestis, deadly disease, plague. Also in Middle English, wickedness, evil, sin, a vice, that which is morally pestilential. So hence that word right here, plague, which goes into like a widespread affliction or calamity that's seen as divine retribution, aka the judgment of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. And Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai is causing these catastrophic events and pandemonium through his left-handed vessel of dishonor, or the rod of his anger, Esau Edom. And that takes me right to 2 Esdras 16 verse 16. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returning not backward, even so the plagues that should be sent upon earth should not return again. And again, the word plague goes into a widespread affliction or calamity seen as divine retribution. And one of those plagues can definitely be pestilences, which is a highly infectious epidemic disease, especially one with a high rate of fatality. Hence the surge of the C-19, RSV, influenza, pneumonia, and the list goes on with these diverse pestilences. And it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? And the answer to that is Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai for the elect of the nation of Israel, including the prophet Esdras, because he is definitely here walking through that straight gate in a process called reincarnation. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power should stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What should I do when these evils or bad times should come? And again, the answer to that is to call and reverence the names of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. I continue to kiss the Son, aka Yahushai. So therefore we can be accounted worthy and favored when all of these apocalyptic times be really announced upon the earth. So again, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings. And the word sorrow goes into a state of deeply felt stress, anguish, grief, distress, and misery, like some very unhappy times. And that's prophesied that this will be the case. Again, a time of deeply felt distress, sorrow, sadness, grief, misery, and the list goes on within the last of the last days. And that takes me to Ezekiel 2 verse 9. And when I looked, behold, an hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein. And that's referring to the Holy Bible. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written therein lamentations and mourning and woe, which definitely signifies the times that we are currently in if you are measuring the times diligently within itself. Like, look at the state or the condition of the earth right now, and all of the hurtful works that's been applied here, like sins or iniquities are being abounded, which is a doest thou wilt mentality or vibration, like blasphemy unto anything that's been regarded to morality, ethics, integrity, or anything that vibrates on the idea of righteousness. Like, everything's upside down. So therefore, with that being said, we are definitely within some times of great misfortune. Again, there was written therein lamentations and mourning and woe. So jumping back to 2 Esdras 16 verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power should stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What should I do when these evils should come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. And a scourge is a source of a widespread, dreadful affliction or devastation. And it can be used as an instrument that can chastise severely. And how that's going to be measured? Ultimately by Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, but working through his left-handed vessel of dishonor, Esau Edom. Again, the rod of his anger through his left-handed blessing, the sword. And by that, the hierarchy of Esau Edom, they're going to inflict some great vengeance, punishment, and devastation upon the masses, especially the 2/3 of our people. And we're going to see the anger of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai working through this vessel of dishonor by these severe judgments. Because you have a lot of our people playing around, not taking the time or precaution to take their grace period serious. And the ones of our people that's not within that spiritual mindset are about to soon witness the worst times that's ever about to get ready to approach this earth, which is the times of Jacob's trouble. And where you're seeing the so-called powers that be tapping more into that left-handed side, especially through this biological warfare. And it's good to have that spiritual mindset that you want to apply the natural herbs or medicines, and even going with the natural route that's tainted to some degree, because we as the biblical Israelites should eat our bread defiled amongst the Gentiles. Again, the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. But of course, it's good to eat the best out the worst and to apply the best out the worst. But the devastating times that we're coming into, it's going to take way more than that, like spirituality, and more so a spiritual connection unto our creator or power source, which is Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. And that takes me to Wisdom of Solomon 16 verse 12. For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them, referring to the elect of the nation of Israel, to health, but thy word, O Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, which healeth all things. And that word ultimately goes into that declaration or testimony of Yahushai, that spiritually bestowed upon the elect of the nation of Israel via the gift of the Holy Spirit. So yeah, we are definitely within some very devastating times, but that spiritual mindset to have is we got to go through that straight gate. We got to go through it to get to it, which is ultimately Yahushai. And whereas the 2/3 of our people do not have no spiritual inkling of an idea that they are about to witness and experience the worst times that are soon coming upon this earth. And they're going to be vulnerable into all those elements, which goes into those divine judgments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, while not having no type of spiritual protection or covering. While you have the man of sin, Esau Edom, boasting in their crafty devices, going into their left-handed enterprise, their so-called NWO. So just continue to stay prayed up unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Keep building up that spiritual bank account, so therefore we can spiritually cash out when all of these catastrophic events take place on the earth. So I'll put out this out with that. Hopefully you all was edified. You all stay strong. Keep pushing forward. Shalom.